Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome once again to another live stream, IPSA Kind of Magic. IPSA, the Independent Personal Search Agents, chaired by His Lordship Hamish McLay, and of course Heather Poole-Gleed there being I believe the CEO, is that right? Or
That's
close
correct.
enough? Close enough. Jackie Dawson being an esteemed contributor and also a consultant, whatever that means. I know she's the one that actually keeps everybody straight and gives all the amazing training. And Ryan Hobson, a technician, part of the scene and puts the oil into the wheels of industry, something like that. Welcome one and all to another IPSA Kind of Magic. Today's topic is, of course, and he says, reading from the sheet, shining a light on our conveyancing client success. And of course, as traditional on this channel, I'm throwing Hamish mercilessly under the bus.
Well, the week of what we've allocated. I'm just trying to think what it was called again. It's National Conveyancers Week.
National Conveyancers Week. There we go.
There we are. And it's an interesting time to sort of choose and sort of celebrate such a thing, because all the conveyancers are working like absolute madness to try and get over that sort of stamp duty sort of thing, 31st of March and counting. I did notice somebody said it was Lloyds Bank sort of saying anybody who had actually sort of sent in their allocation before was within a week that actually sort of sent in all the paperwork, they would be guaranteed to actually get over the line and save themselves a few thousands.
Huzzah!
Yeah, but what I'm speaking about is those really hard work professional solicitors, and we are privileged really in the position we are in IPSA, because we have many ways that we can help them speed up that particular process. There's no guarantee that you can get them over the line by virtue of what we do, but it's the closest you can possibly get by virtue of the fact that the relationship we have with local councils. And it's not just the local authority searches we find that we are able to sort of support clients. It's because we partner with the right people, we can actually get other things done too. So it's not just the personal searches, which IPSA is sort of well known for, but it's also the other searches or the other contributors that we actually sort of work with to enable that. And of course, that's through what, to a large extent, what the support that we get from Ryan and the land technology in pushing all of those accompanying sort of items that solicitors require through the, if you like, through the wire, through the ether, in time for them to actually do as what they need to do with their work.
Ryan, welcome to the show. Would you tell us a little bit more about how Elan helps IPSA deliver those blisteringly brilliant searches that they do?
Yeah, of course, Gareth. So I think it's interesting what you say there, Hamish. So the partnerships is probably something we don't often speak of. So with the technology, as you've just mentioned, there's various elements in there to help a conveyancer. So we know conveyancers are overworked, it's stressful, they've got a lot of red tape to deal with, and technology can add to that stress sometimes, especially if it's prescriptive. You've got to follow rules, incentivization, etc. So the system takes out those pressures and lets a solicitor drop in and drop out of the services that they like in the tech. And quite often, some of those services are provided by ourselves, the searchers particularly, where we've got local expertise. But then there's other independent companies, and it's kind of exciting at the moment. Because not obviously, if you're conveyancing and you're overworked, it's not exciting. But in terms of the independents coming to the industry, the fresh look at what's happening right now and what they could bring to the conveyancing market, they're the people, aren't they, Hamish, that we try to work with, try to include in the tech and put that in front of all the conveyancers to bring new tools, new ways of working and help them.
Heather, would you tell me a little bit more about how this manifests?
Well, I think I don't get very involved in the tech side of things. What I like is working with really great conveyancers who have a limit on the number of cases that they will take on. And because they have a limit, they won't take on any extra work, which means they can concentrate on those cases and do a really sterling job on those clients. So there's a local solicitors here that I recommend everyone to. So any of my friends or neighbours that say, oh, we need a conveyancer, I always recommend them to that particular one. And sometimes they come back to me and say, oh, no, they won't do it because they're too busy. So, I think that's great that a conveyancer will say, I can't give you a proper service on that at the moment. I've got too much work on. And that's where I think the conveyancers are gaining, because people are starting to realise that they will get a really good service from a smaller, more independent conveyancer than they will from these bigger conveyancing factories. So as part of National Conveyancing Week, I would like to celebrate independent conveyancers.
Yes, definitely.
Well, because they understand their own bandwidth.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think that's it. So they don't have, they don't have 100 cases on their desk that need their attention. They've got 50, and 50 over a sort of 6-week period is a manageable amount. 100 is not a manageable amount, and then you lose track of what you're doing, or you have to get assistants in that don't necessarily know where they are or what they're doing, and at the end of the day, the client doesn't know who to talk to, and they don't get the answers they want. If you limit yourself to what you can comfortably achieve, then that's better for everybody.
Jackie, having been in this industry for a couple of moments, you have seen, he says with masterful understatement, you have seen such changes. I know that you told me harrowing stories of going to offices and being told you can't cross that line because there's a physical line in the floor. Do not cross that to get the information you require. But things have changed, yes, and for the better. So that enabled good conveyancers to come forth.
Yes, certainly. Obviously, 38 years I've been in the industry this month. So things have changed considerably. When I first started, we didn't have computers in the office at land charges. It was all done physically on maps. It was all drawn onto maps.
Was it abacuses then, back then?
It was what, sorry?
Abacuses? Did they use abacuses?
Yeah, very much so. And slide rules, yes. Yeah. So I've seen a massive change in the industry. And years ago, this time, there was no conveyancing factories. It was all local estate agents, all local solicitors. You didn't have people being directed to a solicitor in Plymouth who wanted to buy a property in Huddersfield. Where now you do. And the technology side has come on tremendously. I leave that to people, the younger people, because I'm not very good at technology. So some of the changes are for the good, and some of the changes are very much for the bad. And as Heather said, the conveyancers out there and Ryan said, that they work really hard. They're harassed, they're stressed, because everybody thinks that it's only their property they're dealing with, their purchase, when, as Heather said, some might have 100. I've even known some say to me, I have 150 on my desk. Well, that is just not acceptable. And that's one of the other reasons why it's taking so long at the moment. So again, as Heather said, to all the independent conveyancers and solicitors out there, keep going. Yes, it's stressful, but at the end of the day, your advertising is by word of mouth, and that's the best you can have.
And of course, if these independents can embrace the technology that Ilana providing, it makes their work more streamlined, and they can save themselves some time and offer additional services such as source of funds information and AML checking and all those sort of things. So it does make their life easier. But if they keep to their core business of managing whole projects for individual consumers, then that's their strength and to be celebrated.
I think
Ryan, I was going to ask you, land software, does that enable effectively project management of the whole process from birth to death?
No, so it's not a case management system, so it's search technology.
There you go, you see.
Various services that conveyancers need along the way. and those services can be for free, just used within the tech. But I think what's really important part as well, sometimes, you know, we always say how much time and effort tech can save, and it can. Sometimes it can be a problem, but if it's done right, it can be brilliant for a conveyancer. However, Heather, when you're saying there about your conveyancer that you always recommend because they give great client service, and that's the same with the search company, pairs together. So that company will always come to you for searches, and probably have done for years. And Hamish will have multiple clients like that too in the business because of the local service. You're not calling a huge office where you don't know who you're speaking to. It's so important to them because that poor service also delays and makes their job harder. They need that great service, which is why the independents are so powerful.
Yeah.
Hamish, we've often spoken about that sort of thing, factory conveyancers.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, one of the things, I mean, it's quite interesting. I had somebody sort of get in touch with me yesterday, who I work with, one of the partners in the business, in our sort of business actually, but they don't carry out searches, and they'd had a family member who'd actually, they'd been pushed down a particular route, and I looked at the quality of the searches which actually came back to them, and they were just, unfortunately, the first time buyers, they really didn't understand what the heck it was about. There were far too many red lights showing on reports. They just couldn't understand it. They couldn't comprehend it. Now, it seems strange that I should be asked a question, or we should be asked a question, but in actual fact, the solicitor, who sadly is in part of the factory, and when I looked at the environmental report, I could not believe it. It is just, but unfortunately, that particular solicitor that was working for them on their behalf, they probably didn't choose. They didn't know what they were choosing the first time buyers. It's quite interesting. We're speaking to Wendy, who's formed the First Time Buyers Club, to help people away from that. But the interesting thing is, we will only work with partners that we have a strong belief in. And therefore, if you like, the work that they have carried out, particularly with what Ryan is doing, we get those partners on board. And in fact, there was one of them today, I'll mention it today, was the environmental report. In fact, they sent it a few days ago and said, hey, look, if any of you got reports back from any other provider of environmental report, and there is a snag with it, there's a hold up with it, whiz it to us. We will, free of charge, identify if that query is anything to worry about. And we will get straight back to you in order to help you over this stamp duty deadline. Those are the sort of people that we work with. Those are the sort of professionals. And as Ryan said, this is what makes it so exciting, because you're independent. We're working with people like that. And as Heather says too, if we're working with independent solicitors, they can choose themselves who they want to be working with. And that IPSA members are just so good at actually whizzing around and getting the number of stories we get. In fact, we were speaking about it last week, Jackie, Heather and I, how quickly some of these searches are actually being returned. Some of them even overnight to actually process up. And it really speaks for the quality of membership of IPSA, the quality of the way in which Ryan's been able to put this all together to enable us to get out today. And it really full marks to those solicitors who are beavering away and put their trust in us. They put their trust in us and know that they put their trust in us. So we will always do the best. And that's because of the close working relationship.
I think it's incredible that IPSA have banded together in a non-competitive format. I think we don't bang that drum enough. The IPSA members will find whoever it is. If they're not in the right geographical position to give the right kind of service, they'll nominate someone else within the IPSA membership who can do that because they have that local knowledge. Heather, is that not critical to this whole process?
It's absolutely critical because as Jackie was saying earlier, you have people that are buying in different parts of the country, and they need to know that whoever's carrying out the search understands that area. So, for instance, I have a client that sends me work for all over the country. I'm no expert on Portsmouth or Newcastle or Cornwall or Wales, but we have members that are experts. So every single time that something out of my immediate area, it goes to the IPSA member that is in that area to make sure that they know where to look. I mean, with the fact that you can get so much information digitally now, you can get it online. It would be quite tempting to think, oh, well, actually, I could do it myself for anywhere in the country. But I know from looking at various councils' websites and trying to find the correct information, it's not always obvious where that information is. And it needs to be somebody that is interrogating that information on a regular basis to know where to look and what to look for. So I would never trust myself to do a search in an area that I'm not familiar with. And I would always prefer to have someone else do that for me.
So here we are, National Conveyancers Week. Hamish, would you please take us home?
Yes, I mean, great for, if you like, the people that we have here with us today. We are just a small representative part of, if you like, the IPSA membership that actually does this work throughout the country. And I think this is, it's been said several times here, because of the technology. And the great thing is there's no point in blaming technology, because the technology that the likes of Ryan's put together makes it so much easier for us to streamline our services and work our services. But with conveyancers from all over the country, particularly as Heather just sort of mentioned, they're coming, they're based in Newcastle, they're carrying out a search for Plymouth. They want somebody, because when you look at it, the conveyancer knows nothing about it. They've never been to Plymouth. I have actually been to the council offices there to carry out searches many moons ago. Yes, that was interesting, but another time on that. However, we know somebody. In fact, he's a great surfer. He loves surfing. That's why he lives down in that part of the country. But he's an excellent person. In between his surfing, he will pop into the council offices or contact the council and get the information. I mean, it's a great thing about it. It really is such a fascinating collective.
Wonderful. Surf and search. All right. Well, look, all I can say is thank you once again for Hamish McLay for helping put together this channel. The incomparable Heather Poole-Gleed of Shropshire Property Search, the incandescent Jackie Dyson of Yorkshire Search Agents, and the unutterably brilliant Ryan Hobson of Elan, and the great search facilities that they provide to all independent personal search agents. And to all of you out there, if you are wanting to get your face out there, this is a good channel to be on if you're a member of IPSA. And if you're interested in IPSA, please do contact them. They're not hard to find. Heather and the team will help you get the very best out of the membership. But until next time, I wish you all well. Keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and please try and look after that mental health. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.